Good morning. Good morning, and welcome on this beautiful, rainy, cool Wednesday morning. I hope you're able to get up out of bed. I know when that rain hits on the roof, and just like in our house, it's got that metal roof, you can kind of hear it a little bit through there. Kind of reminds me of my growing up days back on my grandparents' place on that back porch. Had that metal roof, it'd rain, and kind of reminds me of that. It's good sleeping weather, I guess, if you can sleep and they're able to do that. But it's also a good time to wake up and get up and enjoy a new day that God has made for us and allowed us to be a part of. So good morning to all of you. Hope your day will truly be blessed, and just hope you stay dry. And but we're thankful for the moisture that replenishes, uh, the moisture in the soil and goes on down into the aquifers and their waters and fills their lakes and stuff. And I know it's something we're not all maybe wanting, but at the same point, it's something we truly need, and we thank the Lord for it. So, anyway, just want to come to you today. I'm not out on the porch. I'll get out there again one of these days, and but right now I certainly can't do that in this rain. And but I'll be glad when we can do that again for long. So anyway, hello Rod, and hello Deronda and Rick. Hello, Wilda and everybody. And again, hope you're having a blessed day. Hey, don't forget this is Wednesday night, so we have our stuff going on at church tonight. And 6 o'clock, Children, Youth, Family Life Center, adults, and auditorium in church. And of course, I think in adults we have a regular Bible study, prayer time. We have a little business meeting as well. So, but it's a good time. I invite you to come on out and join with us. And we're working on our new website. I'm not 100% sure that it's ready to launch just yet. I got the preview of it, and so it'll be something fairly simple, but something we'll be able to, kind of have some more stuff out there with as well. But anyway, I also want to speak this morning. I guess I was reading in Psalm 139, verse 23 and 24. That verse says, Lord, if there's anything in my life that is displeasing to you, or excuse me, wait, take it back. That's another deal. It says, Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting life, in the way of everlasting. Sorry. But I kind of got off track there. But anyways, that's Psalm 139, 23, and 24 when he says, Search me, O Lord. Last night was I guess the president gave his State of the Union address, and I guess people have been doing that for years and years, and at least the presidents. I don't know how long that tradition goes back, but since I was a kid, I remember somebody always doing that, the president or whatever. And over the years, I've watched those things, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch last night, and but I was, this morning got up early watching the news, and you get some of the excerpts of it. And of course, nowadays with social media and news outlets like they are, they pretty well told us what he's more than likely going to be saying anyway. And you don't have to be a rocket science to figure out most of the time anymore what these guys are going to say. I mean, it doesn't matter who's up there, president. What they generally do is they'll get up and they'll basically toot their own horn, and they'll just say things. Well, what I've accomplished, and I've done this, and my administration might do whatever we've done this, blah blah blah, do that. They'll do that a good while, and then sometimes they'll point out honestly that some things that need to take place and some things that maybe need to work on and change, whatever. They'll do that, and then they'll a lot of times they'll put blame on other people or whatever. They very rarely take any blame for themselves. And I don't care. Like I said, I don't care what president it is. That's generally what they do, and that kind of a deal. And it's supposed to be, though, I think, kind of an encouraging deal or an honest deal about where is our country at, what's happening, what do we do need to do to fix things, and how can we come together and do just that. Well, you and I both know that there's a lot of problems going on in our country in a lot of ways, but I would just love it. I believe I could tune in every year and watch these things if the president, whoever that is, got up and says something like this. And I'm going to read this quote. It says, "We have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven, but we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand which preserved us in peace, and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us. We have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own." Unquote. Now, you know who said that? It was said in 1863 by then President Abraham Lincoln. You know, he recognized even then that the blessings of God, that people in the deceitfulness of their own minds had determined that they were solely responsible for all these things happening in our country, for the blessed way of America. You know, and I was thinking, you know, and he said it right, the deceitfulness of our hearts. You know what? Sometimes we do deceive ourselves. We're kind of get caught up in that ourselves, you know. But let me tell you, said, you know, there's not one person in the White House and in Congress or even in the Supreme Court that can get to the deepest part of America's problems. And you know what America's number one problem is? It's it's spiritual problem. It's a spiritual problem, and we are in need of a great spiritual awakening in our country. You know, I mean, the spiritual side of things is going way downhill, and the only hope for America, I truly believe, is a great spiritual awakening. You know, and that is we need to wake up to what's going on. And you know, God told us in the Old Testament book of Second Chronicles in chapter 7:14, he kind of gave a great recipe for spiritual awakening when he said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. You know, those are the words of the Lord Himself. It keys on my people. He says, His people. Excuse me. If my people, you know, and that's He's talking about Christian people that we need to be doing that. And you know, there's a very interesting nuance to the word pray that He uses. That you know, if my people are called by my name, will seek, will humble themselves and pray. That word pray in Hebrew, there are like 12 kind of, I'm going to say almost variations of that verb, pray. And in this particular instance, when it's used in this particular verse in 2 Chronicles 7:14, that word pray means to judge self habitually. In other words, it means I need to make a habit daily, whatever it is, of judging myself. In other words, searching out my heart, searching out stuff in my life that may not be pleasing to God. You know, looking at that way. And that's what, you know, notice that God didn't tell us in that verse. He didn't say, you know, if my people who are called by my name will love themselves. Well, folks, didn't have to do that because we already love ourselves, right? Most people love themselves, but God did say we need to basically judge ourselves. You know, we need to do that and look at our own lives and look in our own hearts. And that just means that when we come into God's presence, we're supposed to say something like, Lord, if there's anything in my life, if there's anything that's displeasing to you, show it to me, reveal it to me. You know, now most of us, we pretty well know if we got something going on in our lives for the most part that's questionable toward pleasing God or not. Most of us know that, and a lot of us, if we're truly, you know, trying to seek the Lord and those kind of things. But there are those things too, sometimes that we might be ignorant of in our own lives. That we, you know, we don't really maybe haven't given thought of that. How can that be displeasing to God or whatever? And so it's those kind of things that God is telling us that we need to do that we need to judge our own life, to you know seek His face, and we need to ask Him, Lord, if there is something in my life, show it to me. Show it to me, Lord. Reveal it to me. And it goes much like what the psalmist said in that Psalm 139, verse 23 and 24, when he says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties and see if there's any wicked way in me and lead me in the way of everlasting. You know, I want to read, that's from my New King James Version. Let me read that same verse out of the New Living Translation. Just gives just a little bit different light, especially in verse 24. And I'm going to read 24 when it says, you know, after he says, search me and know my heart. Verse 24 says, point out anything in me that offends you and lead me along the path of everlasting life. Asking God to point out to myself, Lord, show it to me, point it out to me, anything in my life that offends you. And so that, and Lord, you lead me to this way of everlasting life, the road of life that you have set me on. In other words, you know, as we think about the Christian life, if we're called to follow Christ, if we're called to follow him. Just like he said in his word when Jesus come to him, he says, if anyone who desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. Denying ourselves. And that means simply that we put our own desires, our ambitions, our aims in life, giving up our own wills to follow him. And that's what it is to follow Jesus. It's putting our stuff aside and following him and doing his will. And it takes some work, but we need to seek the Lord daily and be honest. And we come before his presence very humbly. Lord, speak to me, reveal to me. I repent of my sin, Lord. And if there's any other sins going on in my life, anything that you're not pleased with, reveal it to me so I can work on those things with your help. Because we need to do that. If we can humble ourselves and pray, if we can do that as Christian people in this nation, seek God's face very humbly and repent. Seek God's face, seek his presence, seek what his will is. He says he'll forgive our sin and he'll heal our land. And our land needs healing, folks, just like individual people need the Lord's healing. And it starts with us individually as well. So don't underestimate the power of seeking God's face and spiritual awakening in your own life. I hope and pray that you can experience that and make that commitment to do just that. Thank you so much for joining with me this morning, and I look forward to getting to see you hopefully tonight, if not Sunday morning. We started a new Sunday school class, their old apostles class, got it kicked off, had a good turnout in there Sunday morning. If you come and this is just like I told them Sunday, if there's not a place for you, we'll make a place for you. So we've got some other things kind of in the works, and looking forward to what the future has for us at Lone Oak Baptist Church. Love for you to come be a part of it. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Bye bye.